Generally, pursuing higher education is an amazing way to achieve success and realize your dreams. Many people across the world seek out study opportunities in Canada and also leverage that experience to transition to permanent residency. Welcome to the CanMove Podcast, where it's all about building a community around the achievement of success through immigration. I'm your host, Paul, and thanks again for joining us for this episode. In this episode, we will be discussing the transition from student status to permanent residency and sharing insights and tips on the process and how prospective newcomers can chart a similar path for themselves. Today, I'm joined by another amazing friend of mine, Kadian Smikebrand, who is originally from Jamaica, came to Canada to study, and eventually became a permanent resident. Hey, Kadian, how are you doing today?
Hi, Paul. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So before we jump into it, I know that everybody that has heard my personal immigration story, I've always told the story that I effectively transitioned to a job here in Canada through a friend of mine who was amazing and helped set that up. So now officially I can introduce everyone to Kadian, my great friend who helped me to transition, get my first permanent job here, and was really amazing support while transitioning to Canada. Thank you so much, Kadian.
Aw, I didn't know you were telling that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Kadian. So based on your personal circumstances, your story, I want to jump in a few questions to help our listeners on their transition and help those in particular that may be seeking the study route to get to Canada to, one, further their studies, further their personal and professional development, and then possibly transition to permanent residency. So let's start with the first question. How long have you been in Canada, and what are your general feelings about the experience so far? Maybe some things you like, maybe some things you don't like as much.
Well, I've been here for just over 4 years. Last week made it 4 years. So it's been a while. The years flew by fast. What I really like most about Canada for me is the safety aspect of it. It may be false safety, but I feel a lot safer here than I did in Jamaica. And that's, because Jamaica has a very high crime rate. What I hate about Canada is the weather. Winter is one of those experiences that you really have to experience it and live in it to see how much of a dread it is. When snow just falls and you're younger and you want to snow because it's so pretty, you're very excited. But living in it is a different ball game. It's messy, it's disgusting. You can't feel your fingers, your nose, everything. So winter is really the worst part about living in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. Winter isn't fun at all. I said beautiful on one hand, but not very good to deal with on the other hand. Absolutely. Missing the beaches and the sunshine, right?
Yeah, man. I really have some very mixed feelings about being here. Some days I dream about the jelly coconut, just to be able to stop at a jelly man and drink a fresh jelly and just be comfortable like that, putting on shorts and shirts, and you don't have to think about whether or not the climate going to change that much. Here everything is a production. Once you leave in your house, you have to bring a jacket, bring a lighter jacket, think about how it's gonna work out. How will the day turn? The most unpredictable thing about Canada is the weather.
For sure. Alrighty. Before we scare away our listeners, but let's jump into the second question now. So, what was your process like in figuring out what and where you wanted to study?
For me, it was pretty simple. When I decided I wanted to come to Canada, it wasn't necessarily for gaining the education that I was paying for. It really was for the transition to live here. So picking something to study for me was a no-brainer. At first, I decided, okay, I'm going to do something where I'm following a passion, and I was going to do interior design. And in doing that, the first application I went through, I knew nothing. I wasn't seeking any help. I submitted it myself, and my first visa was declined. So I actually sought help of an immigration consultant like yourself. And when I went to you and I said, look, this is what I got in for, this is what I want to do. He introduced me to another school and he said, is there a reason that you picked this course? And I said, no, I just wanted to do a passion project. And he said, well, let me tell you something. They're big on Canadian experience. So just pick something that will make you employable. It wasn't for me to gain the credentials, but to actually just assimilate into the society. So I wasn't pondering as to, do I really want to study this? I already had a master's and a first degree. For me, it was, I needed something to get me a job when I was done.
Got you. And I guess that speaks to, as you mentioned and indicating, using the study pathway with the ultimate goal of transitioning to permanent residency. Correct. Right? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure, getting the qualification, wasn't bad. I guess it's one more to the few that you already had, which was a good thing,
more
right?
Than that, for me, it was the experience of going to school here. It's a completely different experience than studying in Jamaica. Awesome. And it also helped you to gain the friendship and the connections that you would need for later on.
Awesome. But let's stick on that a bit. So what in contrasting between Canada and Jamaica, what were some of the things you noticed in the study experience overall?
So I went to UA, and I can just say that for you, they tell you read for your degree. It's quite the same here. It's just that there is more interaction. There's a whole lot of group work. They place so much emphasis on being able to work well with others, and I'm not sure if it's because of the international experience, and you're in a class with people speaking various languages. Most people, English was not their first language, so I think they try to group you up a bit more to help those that were struggling. But also, I just found the whole teaching process more relatable. It was a lot of work though. You get way more work than I did in Jamaica. It was constant, day in, day out. Every day you had some assignment to do. So it was a little bit stressful, and it was also because when they're offering you this program, they try to compact it. So I did a 1-year program. I know some people tend to do a longer program because I'm sure you've gone through the whole, in terms of visas, work visas, when you're done, based on the period that you do, it determines the length of the visa that you do get. But I did a 1-year program. I had for sure. Plan. But they tried to pack so much into that 1 year. Listen, even if you could, and I think it's part of it is because you're only allowed to work part-time. You could not hold a full-time job even if you wanted to. You wouldn't have the time. So it was intense.
Yeah. So that is definitely so true. So let's jump into the third question. So what were some of the biggest challenges you think going through this journey that you did?
I think, like with all things, it starts in the mind, the mental adjustment, and you would not even realize, because we are Jamaicans and we're exposed and we travel, but moving to a country which while the culture is not completely foreign, it's definitely different from what we're used to. That mental adjustment was one of the biggest challenges for me. For me also, I didn't come with family here. So it's in adjusting and missing your family, missing your culture, missing your people. You'll say certain things and people look at you like you're alien because there are some things that are just unique to being Jamaican. And, that rapport that you wouldn't have in coming here and meeting these people, it's genuinely take the ability to make a joke that would only be funny to a Jamaican. So that mental adjustment
for sure.
is something, and as I said, adjusting to how they do things, the weather and everything, it's the biggest thing. So migrating, you have to prepare your mind because you never know how it will impact you.
Yeah. Maybe what were one or two of the things that you did to kind of help your transitioning past those challenges?
So for me, I knew the sooner you got up and get going and assimilated was the better off you'd be. Yes, it's okay to miss home and miss friends and everything, but the sooner you gain even say a friendship and go out and mingle, it's the more normal things became. So for me, things actually felt okay here the moment I gained certain friends. I had friends who were from Canada themselves, and they could teach you about the Canadian experience, and you also had friends who were like immigrants and you were learning together. So my biggest part, that for me is the only and the quickest way to adjust.
Cool. All right. So again, an immigration pathway for many is transitioning through the study permit to ultimately get a postgraduate work permit. And I know you touched on that. How was that transition like for you, and what was the process like, and maybe the timelines, and just generally your experience in getting that postgraduate work permit?
Okay, well, you know how they say that one hand fits all. Everybody's process is different. For me, it was a little bit more challenging than some people that I had encountered. And I say that because I'd used their experiences to guide how I would apply for my permanent residency. And it was not the same because my work experience, everything was different. And while that was factored in, I had certain unique situations that I literally needed the help of an immigration counselor to go through. And I'll expand on that by saying that it took me from landing in Canada to getting a permanent residency roughly 18 months. And it took me that long because after I finished school and I got the postgraduate work permit and I applied for my permanent residency, one of the things I thought is, okay, I came here, I did my police report probably say a few months before coming to Canada. And since I was in Canada, I didn't go back to Jamaica. So in reading everything and following the examples of other people, I did not submit a new police record with my application because I haven't gone back. But that time period in being in Jamaica to coming to Canada, they needed cover. So my first application was cancelled as being incomplete. No, that is not something that anybody could prepare you for if they haven't gone through it. So in having it cancelled, I decided, listen, I am not messing around with this. You have 1 year to get your permanent residency. So I just decided to bite the bullet and pay for the help of a professional to just get my bind done. And it took me 1.5 years because when you're in Canada, and this is probably something that people don't recognize, is they process the results outside first. So if they tell you it's a 6-month period for them to process, believe me, if you're here, it will probably take the full 6 months. If you're outside of Canada, it might be a little bit quicker, but once you're here, it's the full 6 months. So they took the full 6 months to process, and they took the full 6 months to get me the full remaining time after that to get me my documents. So it's going through the cancellation, reapplying, and then waiting again. You have to wait on the draws and so forth. So it was a little bit stressful because you are working on a time frame. You have your work permit for 1 year because I only did a 1 year program.
Got you. Yeah, I think that's a big takeaway. A lot of people, and I think generally in my own experiences as a consultant, there's a lot of people that kind of, perceives that coming to Canada is very easy, and granted it's not. The application processes, the programs, the eligibility, the small nuances that need to make up a application, it's not something to take for granted. And notwithstanding, you can definitely chart the path on your own, but sometimes utilizing a professional can definitely be a benefit because there's a lot of little intricacies in answering certain questions and just having a complete and accurate application to avoid any loss in time and delays for sure. Awesome.
I would never change my experience. I would always tell somebody, use a professional, because at the end of the day, this is your future. So I would rather not go through the teething and have my application properly completed.
Absolutely. All right. So 4 years in, what was your biggest triumphs during this journey?
Boy, the first one I would honestly say is getting that PR. Like I had gone through a period where I'm like, is this even gonna happen? So that was the first one. But for me so far is coming here, transitioning, building that life, and also the ability to change careers. I know sometimes before, you're in your familiarity and you feel kind of stuck. When I got here, I was able to change my career path, and for me that's been the most rewarding experience. Because you go to your job, you spend 8 hours, and you have to really like what you do. So don't be afraid to try something and reinvent yourself. It's just a matter of landing that good job in that good company, and you take it from there. My progression in this field has been awesome. I think I've been in AML probably 2 years. For sure. This is my second company, and within this one company, I've been promoted 3-4 times. So it's been wonderful. It's just one of those things, to be honest. everybody's experience in the working field is a little bit different.
Absolutely.
But for mine, I can say I'm very pleased.
So we can definitely add that to the previous question on triumphs. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a triumph of yours, I'm sure. All right, so let's wrap it up and let's get into some practical tips for our listeners, right? So if you could share 3 to 5 tips thereabouts with someone considering exploring Canada as an option for further studies, what would they be?
Visit first. I say that, I know sometimes we dive right in, but it's a good idea to get a feel of where you're going, where you're going to be spending most of your time, to see if it's right for you. In migrating, we tend to notice that people are leaving and we do want that change, but there are other options outside of Canada. I would just say visit first to ensure that the climate, the culture, and everything is the right fit for you. So my second tip for anybody would be to network. Just like anywhere you go, you can't do it alone. Building good friendships, building good work relationships, everything will make the difference. It will make or break how much you accomplish. Even here, even how finance is structured, taxes, everything is different. So having good relationships and being able to have someone help you along the way will make the difference in how quickly you actually progress.
Yeah. Those tips were definitely amazing. And I think along with those tips, as well as your experience shared during this episode, I am sure that the listeners will definitely be able to find value from it, as well as take away some actions and insights for themselves to action their own plans coming here to Canada. So thank you so much, friend. It was awesome. Thanks again for joining.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome. So everyone, thanks a million for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We'll connect again soon on the next episode.